Hi everyone, welcome to this edition of In the Studio. Today we're going to be taking a look again at the frame drum. We're going to talk about a few different fills that you can apply into your own playing. If you're new to the channel, please take a minute to reach down and subscribe. It's the biggest thing that you can do to help me grow this channel, as I try to share as much knowledge of drums and percussion with as many players around the world as I possibly can. Like, share the video, and if you have a question, comment, or an idea that you'd like to hear me talk a little bit more about, put it down in the comment section. I do read the comments and I take a lot of ideas for future videos from those comments, and today is a case in point. So without further ado, let's get into some fills here on the frame drum. All right, so today's video is actually inspired by a user comment coming from Dmitry Tarda, who asks if I can go through some of the different fills that I play on the previous video that I did, the solo frame drum approach to the Khaliji rhythm. I've done a couple of different videos on this Khaliji style, both from a solo perspective as well as how to apply some of those ideas in an ensemble setting. So this video today, we're going to talk about some of those fill concepts that you can apply within your solo drumming here on the frame drum. So let's refresh ourselves with what the Khaliji rhythm is. Okay, it's a very basic rhythm. We're going to split this up into groups of 3 plus 3 plus 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. A little bit closer to performance tempo. So you can hear it's a very groovy rhythm. It's a very danceable rhythm. It's got a very nice pocket to it. All right. 2 dooms up front. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Followed by a tuck or a slap, however you want to create a closed tone on that final beat of the measure. So these groupings, they become very important in how we're going to shape these phrases. Okay. So let me introduce a very quick fill idea for you. And we're going to expand upon this idea, but at its basic, you're going to have 2 right hand articulations and 2 left hand articulations. First, tuck, and your accented ka up here, which I play as a snap. You can play as just a regular open ka if you prefer, but that snap, that has a very sharp, very musical quality to it. And I like to show that sound in contrast to some of the other tones on the instrument. It really stands out as an accent, okay? So you're gonna combine that with a right hand tuck, followed by 2 open strokes, right and left, dum dum. So you've got taka dum dum, taka dum dum. And now just practice this as a phrase. Taka dum dum tak, taka dum dum dum, taka dum dum tak, taka. Easy. Now, how do we start building this into a phrase? Well, if you take the Khaliji rhythm, 3 plus 3 plus 2, look at that last grouping of 2 16th notes. Dum, dum, tak, dum, tak. Now, if I just open those 2 16th notes up and accent them, you get a sound like this. Taka. You hear that very sharp sound, taka, at the very end of the bar. There's your first fill. Taka, that's your first fill. Now, if you take those 2 16th notes and you move down to the next level of subdivision, which would be 32nd notes. Now, instead of a grouping of 2, you've doubled the number of tones that you can have in that space. So instead of 2 16th notes, you have 4 32nds, and we can insert that lick, taka dum dum. So if we play this slow, taka dum dum dum, taka dum dum dum. All right, now closer to performance tempo. Taka dum dum. Now, if you go back and watch that solo frame drum in the Khaliji style video that I made, you'll see I use this riff quite a bit. It's just a riff that I like to throw in there to create something of a fill. Now, take a look at our Khaliji rhythm. We talked about it's broken up into 3 plus 3 plus 2. We just described a fill concept on that phrase of 2 16th notes, expanding it to 4 32nd notes and playing our taka dum dum lick. Well, if we take one of the groupings of 3 and we move that to the next level of subdivision, we now get a phrase that has 6 32nd notes. Take this same concept, taka dum dum, and add 2 more dums to it. Okay, so if I use the middle phrase of 3, dum, dum, tak, dum. Taka dum dum dum, taka dum 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 da. Now you're starting to see this vocabulary is emerging. We're using the same idea. Taka dum dum, taka dum 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 dum. So we've created a phrase of both 4 32nd notes and 6 32nd notes. The phrase of 4, taka dum dum. The phrase in 6, taka dum 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 dum. And it's a really neat melodic figure because you get to enhance these dums, which I really like. Okay? Dum, dum, dum. Also here I'm now stringing those 2 phrases together. Taka dum 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 dum, taka dum dum tak, starting on the second grouping of 3. Now let's fill in that whole measure. Taka dum 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 dum, taka dum 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 dum, taka dum dum. So I've taken that 3 plus 3 plus 2 structure, that skeleton lattice that's beneath the rhythm. And now I've doubled up each of those 16th notes to become 32nd notes. And I'm taking, instead of a 3-note grouping, it's now a 6-note grouping. Taka dum 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 dum. Play that twice in a row, and then finish with my 4-note grouping, taka dum dum. So I get this. This is very easy. Slow it down just a little bit. Taka dum dum dum, taka dum dum dum, taka dum dum dum. And if you hear, the agogic rhythm is still embedded within it. I still hear cha, cha. That's embedded within it. You hear that same rhythm embedded within this, and that is a beautiful feature of this because we never lose that structure of the groove, but we've enhanced it with a fill. Okay, let's go one step further with this concept. What if we take 2 measures? 3 plus 3 plus 2, 3 plus 3 plus 2. There is a concept within the armored car. Remember, that's that concept that I've been developing. First I showed you on the snare drum in a previous video. Now we're getting into it on the frame drum a little bit. There's a concept embedded within this called reordering. All right. In these 2 measures, 3 plus 3 plus 2, 3 plus 3 plus 2, if we take an inventory of that, over those 2 measures, we have 4 groupings of 3 and 2 groupings of 2. So if I take my Khaliji rhythm, this is another fill idea. If I take Khaliji, and now I put all the groups of 3 together and all the groups of 2, I get something that sounds like this. Again. my 6-note grouping, taka-dum-dum-dum-dum. And I doubled up all those phrases of 3 from 3 16th notes now to 6 32nd notes, and I played that all as a strand. Taka-dum-dum-dum-dum, 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 taka-dum-dum, ta. And I finished with a nice accent on that second group of 2. So, now look at this reordering concept. You can actually put these phrases in whatever order you want. Let's reverse this order. Let's put the 2 groups of 2 up front, followed by the 4 groups of 3. So if I take out the 32nd notes and I just play them as 16th notes, it sounds something like this, starting with Khaliji. Now the fill. Again. Actually, that was a different variation. That one went 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 2. Ad-lib, I start to double up those phrases. Sometimes I play the groups of 2 as groups of 4 32nd notes. So I double those up. Sometimes I'm doubling up all the groups of 3. Sometimes I'm selectively doubling these things up. It depends on my mood, depends on what I'm hearing happening in the music. You can tell this fill is quite dense. There's a lot of information that's inside of it. So I need to be very careful when I'm playing these things. I can't just jump into it. If the music is a very thin and transparent texture, I cannot fill it up with such a dense idea. But in a more filled in solo situation, or in a situation where I'm the only drummer and they want me to play very virtuosically and melismatically, this is the place where I'd put in a lot of these sorts of ideas. So let me go through just a couple of other variations. We're only playing one fill, but we're reordering where we're putting those phrases. Something like this. Dimitri, I hope that this answers some of your questions and you get some new fill ideas. Keep those comments coming, guys. I love hearing about them, and I love to share some of these ideas that I've had, and I'd like to see some of your ideas. So take a minute and make a video of yourself playing some of these concepts. I'd love to hear what you're working on. Put them down in the comments section or tag me in the video so I'd be sure to know and check it out. Put those comments down there. Let me know what else you guys want to learn and hear from me. And I think this is a good place to stop for today. As always, happy drumming, everybody. Until next time.
If you liked this video and want to see more like it, please hit the subscribe button. Visit my website for more information on tours, upcoming performances, and updates on all my projects. Thanks so much, and don't forget to share this video.